Making the top stories this afternoon, DMR hosts GPS training this evening, Haitian gang demands millions in ransom, and Syrian bomb blast kills army personnel. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Wednesday, October 20th. I am Mervan Thompson. Nationally, the Department of Marine Resources in the Ministry of Agriculture will be hosting a Global Positioning System training workshop on Wednesday, October 20th at 6 p.m. The training session will be situated at the Department of Marine Resources conference room. During an in-house interview, Director of Marine Resources, Dr. Mark Williams, explained that the training will be held for registered boat owners and fishers who also provide data for the department.
As fishers go further and further distances and as they put more and more equipment in the marine environment, we would like them to keep a track of the location of these equipment. Hence, the Department of Marine Resources, in conjunction with the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Marine Resources, decided to do a GPS training for fisher folk. This also improves fisher safety. When they go at sea and they have engine trouble, they are able to take the GPS mark and notify the authorities as to where they are at any given.
Dr. Williams stated how the training will be conducted due to the ongoing pandemic.
This will be done in Basia at first, and then it will go to the other fishing communities. So a selected few, because of the COVID restrictions, will be trained on Wednesday, and hopefully within a month or two, we'll have the remaining training for other fishers. So we would like registered boat owners who supply data to the Department of Marine Resources to come out and to participate in the training so that you can improve your safety at sea.
The GPS training forms part of the ministry's World Food Day week of activities. The Home Economics Department at the Washington Archibald High School has embarked on a week of awareness aimed at sensitizing the student body of 3 internationally recognized events in the month of October. The week of awareness, conducted under the theme Show You Care, Be Aware, Eat Local, Support the Fighters and Respect the Elderly, recognizes International Day of the Elderly, World Food Day and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whatlean Taylor, lead teacher in the department, explained the rationale behind the activity.
We chose to do the Week of Awareness because we want to bring attention to these 3 concerns or activities that are held during the month of October. We recognize that while we are teaching our students that this will be fitting, as sometimes we do care for the elderly. In food and nutrition, we also look at different types of diseases, and cancer is one that sometimes comes up. World Food Day, we are trying to promote local eating among our students.
The week began with a door decorating competition between the teachers in the department on Monday. Other activities include presentations of fruit baskets to the elderly in the school's district and discussions on how to provide care for them, informational sessions with students about breast cancer, and the promotion of healthy eating. Ms. Taylor thanked the teachers in her department for their efforts and dedication, which ensured the week's success. The management of the COVID-19 pandemic in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis will be the topic on Working for You later today. The guests will be Nurse Mary Keynes, Head of Case Managers, Joseph Markman, Leader of Contact Tracing Team, and Dr. Dwayne Archibald, Lead for Hospital Management of Cases. The discussion will focus on the roles and responsibilities of case managers and contact tracers, what happens when a person with symptoms presents to the hospital, and many other issues related to COVID-19. Working for You is broadcast live every Wednesday on ZIZ and other participating stations. The program is also streamed live on the Facebook and YouTube pages of ZIZ and the SKNIS. We move now to news on the regional scene. The gang that abducted 17 Christian missionaries in Haiti has issued a ransom demand. It is asking for $17 million from Christian Aid Ministries, a U.S.-based religious aid group, for the 16 Americans and 1 Canadian. 3 children and 2 teenagers are believed to be part of the group of abductees. Al Jazeera's John Hendren reports.
A Haitian gang has put a price on the lives of 17 missionaries taken captive in Port-au-Prince, $17 million. The ransom amounts to $1 million for each of the 5 men, 7 women, and 5 children captured by a group called 400 Nawazo as they were building an orphanage. It's a risk Haitian missionaries now face daily.
It is like living in a war zone. You don't know when you're going to get shot at. You don't know when you're going to get kidnapped.
That is a very real concern here in Ohio, where many in the religiously conservative Amish and Mennonite community consider it their Christian mission to fund advancements abroad, even as many of them live much as they did in the 19th century. The ransom demand is a drop in the bucket for an organization that brings in $130 million a year in donations from around the world. But now Christian Aid Ministries has an ethical decision to make. Do they pay it and risk funding the kidnapping machine in Haiti? Or do they refuse and risk the lives of the missionaries they sent there? At the White House, President Joe Biden is getting updates on what is both a crisis for the missionaries' families and a criminal case.
The FBI is a part of a coordinated U.S. government effort to get the U.S. citizens involved to safety.
Armed gangs have stepped up their campaign of kidnapping, extortion, and sexual violence across large parts of Haiti. U.S. officials say they've been trying to help the government cope with the problem.
We realize what a priority this is for the people of Haiti, and that's why we have provided funding to the tune of $312 million in assistance over the last decade alone to strengthen law enforcement and capacity of the Haitian National Police and to maintain peace and stability throughout the country.
Even so, U.S. citizens have been repeatedly warned against visiting Haiti because of the violence and instability. President Jovenel Moise was assassinated in July, and an earthquake struck in August. U.S.-based Christian Aid Ministries is just one of dozens of religious groups doing work in Haiti. Some are now asking whether the U.S. should send in troops to rescue the missionaries, or whether the United Nations needs to expand its peacekeeping operations in a nation where hostage-taking is now, on average, an everyday occurrence. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Millersburg, Ohio.
The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, in St. Lucia, is noting an improvement in the attitude of persons who have been entrusted with vehicle passes for use during curfew hours and other periods of restricted movement. NEMO says it has received fewer reports of the abuse of those passes. We hear more in this DBS News report.
The National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, explained that since St. Lucia is no longer under a state of emergency, vehicle authorization passes have replaced curfew passes. These are different color passes for different periods of time. The orange pass expires on December 31st. The white pass spans a longer period of time, and there is also the short-term letter pass, which is usually given for a day or two. These passes are not to be confused with the blue pass issued annually to first responders.
I want persons to not mistake our yearly emergency pass, which is the blue pass which we have right now, given to our first responders, our district disaster committees, our critical infrastructure agencies. These passes are still valid. They continue to be valid as they have been passes that we issue yearly way before COVID-19. So these passes are still valid for those who have questions. They are not curfew passes, but they could be used during a curfew or a state of emergency, and in this instance where we are under the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Act.
While people are still abusing the passes by using them for unintended purposes, NEMO has seen a general improvement in their use.
People are still abusing the passes. People are still trying to be out there using the passes. And I know the police have their hands full with trying to get persons to understand why the passes were issued and what they need to use them for. However, I believe they got the message the time that we send this message out, because you would hear people saying that Nemo will take my pass from me, things of sorts. So I believe that they got the message, and there is less of an issue with it.
The current COVID-19 protocols have been extended until the end of October. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
And internationally, a bomb attack on a bus carrying troops in the Syrian capital Damascus has killed at least 14 military personnel and wounded 3 others, state TV and military officials said. More in this report.
A roadside bomb attack in Syria's capital, Damascus, killed over a dozen military personnel on Wednesday. State media reported that a bus carrying the soldiers was crossing a bridge in central Damascus during early morning rush hour, when 2 explosive devices went off. Images of the charred cabin of the bus were shared on Syrian state TV's Telegram account, and rescue workers removing body parts from the scene. A 3rd device was defused by an army engineering unit. No group has yet claimed the attack, but officials have called it a terrorist blast. There have been several attacks this year on army vehicles in eastern Syria by suspected Islamic State militants who still operate in the sprawling desert area. But blasts in Damascus are rare. That's because forces loyal to President Bashar al-Assad took control of rebel enclaves around the city.
An early morning commuter train partly derailed after hitting a van abandoned on tracks near Sydney, Australia, trapping the driver and leaving others with minor injuries, authorities said. We hear more in this Reuters report.
An early morning commuter train in Australia derailed on Wednesday after hitting an abandoned vehicle, trapping the driver and wounding several others. Authorities said the 4-car train hit the car in Wollongong, just 56 miles south of Sydney, at 4:15 a.m. local time, knocking the first carriage over and tilting the second. Firefighters rescued the train driver, who was taken to hospital along with a guard and 2 of the train's 9 passengers. New South Wales Police Superintendent Craig Ireland told reporters the investigation is still ongoing.
It doesn't appear to be a case of a simple breakdown, and the fact that someone's run from the scene prior to it indicates it's either deliberate or some sort of misadventure driving the car in that area on the tracks.
Police set up a crime scene after a person was reported running away from the site of the incident. It was not known how long the van had been parked on the tracks. Wednesday's derailment further adds to commuter problems in Sydney. Train drivers had already planned a strike against privatization plans on Wednesday, which was expected to shut down 70% of trains.
And now for the weather. The temperature is 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit, with cloudy skies with showers in the vicinity. Winds are southeast at 9 to 17 miles per hour with lighter spells overnight. Seas are not exceeding 1.5 meters or 5 feet. Weather forecast for today is mostly sunny in the afternoon. Tonight will be mostly fair at first, becoming partly cloudy with a 50% or a moderate chance of showers, mainly after midnight. Sunset today will be at 5:46 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow at 6:05 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Mervan Thompson. Have a great day.